Okay, now to our favorite real world problems. So, Taryn, lovely Taryn, buys a piece of ribbon that's 15 meters long. And she's going to cut that ribbon into 4 equal pieces. So our goal is to find out how long each piece of ribbon is, and then we need to round it to the nearest tenth. A lot of us will find the answer, but we always forget that last part of rounding to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to draw out my piece of ribbon. You know Miss Pickens, she's quite the artist here. So we have 15 meters long of ribbon. And we know that she's cutting it into 4 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3. Those are all equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, and 4 equal pieces. Okay. That word for equal pieces should kind of be your clue that we need to do some kind of dividing here. So since my total length of ribbon is 15 meters and we're cutting it into 4 equal pieces, we have 15 meters and we're cutting it or dividing it into 4 equal pieces. So you need to think 4 goes into 15 3 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Do some subtracting. 15 minus 12 is 3. Okay. I need to bring something down here because 4 cannot go into 3. So if you think 15 is the same as 15.0, now I'm going to bring my 0 down. Let me extend my division bracket up here. 4 into 30 goes 7 times. Don't forget to put your decimal there because since we added our decimal. 4 times 7 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Again, I'm going to add another 0. Okay, I'm not changing the value of this 15. I'm just adding zeros so that we can evenly divide. Because like Mr. Camuel said earlier, we can't really have remainders when we divide by decimals. So if I bring down this other 0, 4 goes into 20 equally 5 times. Okay. So when we take our 15 meters length of ribbon and we divide it into 4 equal pieces, that means each piece is going to be 3 7/5. However, going back to our original question, we're supposed to round it to the nearest tenth. So if we're going to round it to the tenth, we're going to look at the hundredths place, and that 5 tells me I need to round up. So this is going to equal 3 8/10 meters. Don't forget that unit. Okay, there's your first one. Let's move on to another. Oh, drawing on myself now. All right. Oh, King George, just when we thought we've left you. King George has a bag of tea that weighs 14 pounds. Wow. He sells 325,000 pounds of tea per day. So how much tea is left after 1 week? Okay, so he has 14 pounds total. We know that he sells 325,000 pounds per day, and we need to know how much is left after 1 week. Okay, you have to think how many days are in 1 week. I think I saw this on some math minutes the week before break. 1 week is how many days? This should be very simple. 7 days. So we're going to take 325 thousandths and we're going to multiply it by 7 because we know that he sells this much pounds of tea per day. And we're thinking about 1 week total. So I'm going to take 325 thousandths and I'm going to multiply it by 7. Okay. Do your regular multiplication. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 3 is 17. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 1 is 22. Then of course I've got my decimals. I have 3 places after the decimal. Underline my 3 places here. Put my decimal there. So I end up with 2 and 275 thousandths of pound. This is for 1 week, okay? And I want to know how much is left after 1 week. So that's where this piece of information comes in handy, because he had 14 pounds. Okay, and we know that he actually sold a total of 2.275 pounds in a whole week. Okay, so since we want to know what's left, that tells us that we are going to subtract. So I'm going to kind of squeeze in over here, and I'm going to take 14 and I'm going to subtract 2.275. Here's where subtracting with decimals and adding decimals can get tricky. You have to line up your decimals. So in the number 14, I know my decimal is there, and I'm going to go ahead and put 2.275. Okay. Always, always, always add your zeros for placeholders. Okay. All right, subtracting with zeros. Some of us still just want to say 0 minus 5 is 5, 0 minus 7 is 7. No, you can't do that. So we have to go all the way over to our whole number here, and we have to borrow. So I'm going to take 1 away, leave me with 3. This becomes 10. Now I can continue on with my pattern, make that 9, make it 10, 9, and 10. Hopefully we all know that pattern by now. So now we can subtract. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. I have my decimal. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 1 minus nothing is 1. So King George has 11.725 pounds of tea left after 1 week. Okay, we have 2 more problems for you. Mr. Camuel is going to take these away for you.
All right, the next problem reads, Zoe buys 4 pounds of bananas at 59 cents a pound and 3 pounds of pears at $1.25 a pound. How much did she spend? There's a lot of good information that we need. The 4 pounds of bananas are 59 cents a pound. The 3 pounds of pears are $1.25. This is one of those tricks, again, where you may underline similar things, circle things that are similar, so you can just kind of keep everything straight. We want to know how much did she spend, and when you see something like how much did she spend, you have to think that that's going to be a total, and when you think of total, I'll have to add at some point. But first things first, since we're going through this chapter of multiplying and dividing, this is quite easy. If Zoe has 4 pounds of bananas at 59 cents a pound, I'm going to take my 59 cents a pound of bananas and I'm going to multiply by the 4 pounds that she buys. If I go through my algorithms here, just do it the old-fashioned way, I see that I will end up with this number. But remember, guys, I'm not done with this number because I've got a decimal. I've got 2 decimal places, so I have 2 decimal places. So in reality, Zoe, you will pay $2.36 for your bananas. Now we move on to the pears. I take a look back up top. I have $1.25 and 3. I see that I'm circled, so those will go together. So I have $1.25 per pound, and I have a total of 3 pounds. Go through my progressions. And I see that I have 2 decimal places. Once again, this is why I have 2 decimal places. Zoe, you will pay $3.75 for pears at this point. Now, a lot of you stop at this point. People in Miss Pickens' class, people in my class, you'll stop. But we have to find the total, so we need to add. So I'm going to find a spot here. I will have $2.36, and I'm just going to put a B for bananas. I have $3.75 for my pears. And if you're dyslexic, you probably see that this is a B, and that's a P, and that's a P, and that's a D, and it's all the same. I'm going to go ahead and add all this up. I'm going to add my hundredths first. I'll add my tenths second. Add my whole numbers last. And if I add my whole numbers, I see that Zoe's grand total that she will spend on her fruit will be $6.11. Simple math for the conscious shopper. Now, our last question. This one's a doozy. It reads, twin boys went shopping at Try and Save. They bought 3 pounds of steak at $4.95 a pound. They paid with a $20 bill. So how much change did they receive? There's a lot of things happening in this one again, but I see that you've got 3 pounds of steak and it is $4.95 a pound. I see something else about paying with a $20 bill. So there's a lot of decimals at play. First things first, I've got to find out how much the steak is going to cost them. So I'm going to take my $4.95 a pound, and they bought 3 pounds of steak. Oops, 3 pounds of steak. I wish steak was this cheap. Go through my progressions. Now remember, if you want to do this the lattice way, you want to do it the distributive way, you can FOIL it out. I don't care. I see that I get this number. Double check my multiplication to make sure. Looks good. I have 2 decimal places, so 2 decimal places. Don't forget my dollar sign, because I would hate to go to the cashier and then to tell me that my total was 14 85 I wouldn't know what she was talking about, or he. So in reality, these twin boys are going to pay $14.85 for this steak. Now the original question says they paid with a $20 bill. So this is when all your skills come back into play. Most of us think, okay, I got 20 bucks. I'm going to subtract my $14.85. But if you watch previous, maybe about 8 or 9 minutes ago on the video, I've got to line up my decimals when I subtract. And my $20 is 20.00. I've got to come up with, money amounts. Once again, you're not going to say 5 and 8 and 4. You actually have to subtract this time. I've got to go all the way over to my 2 tens, which is 20. Now I'm left with 1 10. Now I have 10 ones. But I still cannot subtract all this out, so I must borrow again. Now I have 9 ones, but now I have 10 tenths, which is the same as 1 whole. But I still can't go yet, so I need to borrow for these 10 tenths to give us these 10 hundredths. Now, 5 hundredths from 10 hundredths will give me 5 hundredths. My 8 tenths from 9 tenths will still give me 1 tenth. Decimals in place, so now I have 15 hundredths, which is the same as 15 cents. I have 4 from 9, which would give me 5, and I have 10 from 10, which leaves me with nothing. And these twin boys, their change they shall receive will be $5.15, and if you're dyslexic, the decimal will mess with you.